gone, and then the next day something else comes through my kitchen, and then that's going to be put down. So that's the whole kind of thought that's going on. What I want to do today is I'll talk more about it soon, but it's just more about my style is just having fun with it and just taking what you can get and just presenting it as simply as possible, trying to get the best out of it and just show the flavours for what they are. And because if you're working with good things, you don't need to manipulate them, you don't need to be heavy-handed, you don't need to mess around, you can just present it and it's good. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. But yeah, Giulio's ready to show his video now, so we'll put that on.
I'm Giulio, and been 2 years with in November with our restaurant in Littleton, and very different approach of cooking as well to what is the normal people known as a restaurant here in New Zealand, and we're very glad to do it now because it's really working for us and the people is understanding what we do, and we have been having a lot of people looking at our restaurant, media and important people going around and to checking it out, so which is great. And this is a small video we did since summer. It took around 4 months to make it happen, and it's another project that we're working towards now. Not only in the kitchen, we want to promote other people doing the same thing that we do, that it could be farmers, it could be another chef, other chefs cooking in the same way, all of the same philosophy. And it would give an idea for us. It's an introduction to our restaurant, but an introduction to our philosophy and an introduction of how we see food in our world. There you go. You make your own future. We saw it as an opportunity of doing something different, of pushing our philosophy. We really want to show people our energy. What we do is a craft, we do it with our hearts. We feel connected with the environment, we feel connected with people. The word holistic, that's how we live. Our food doesn't go for more than 100 kilometers from where we are. We wanted to keep that experience. It's not only food. Every time we're getting birds, pheasants, quails, wild game, and the lamb. We try to keep it in the 100-kilometer range. Suppliers come from different trips and visits and farmers market. You always get to know farmers. Banks Peninsula is full of edible things, wild. We forage everything, whatever we find. We can see the seasons going so fast. We want the peak of the best of the season. A big job of the restaurant is how to enjoy what nature produces in the most raw form that you can find it. See all the mycelium on top of them? So this is the typical mushroom that you buy in the supermarket. I've been thinking a lot about how free we are, how able to do this just 3 minutes from the restaurant. It's a dream, man. You can feed a family. This is a massive source of food here. I think nature decides what to do. We cannot ask anything to her. I think there is a lot of curiosity in cooking. Fermentation food is amazing. You can create flavors, you can preserve food in the most natural way. We like to do everything with the best. Do the most you can with everything you get. The idea of making the restaurant was most sustainable as possible. Our organic waste goes to the chicken. We treat every part of the animal as a whole. Sustainability is one very important side, but consciousness is more like an ethic. Taking care of the environment is part of the consciousness. The idea of having a degustation is knowing what people is eating and what you are cooking. You are cooking for 10, you are making 10 portions. We have no waste in the daily cooking. If there is no people coming to the restaurant, we just don't cook. Simple. We don't want to put energy into something that is not going to be used. We're creating our own food security and we're sharing with the community because they're not growing only for us. You can grow your own food. You don't need to go to the supermarket. We can grow everything ourselves. We can go to the farmers, make relationships with people, not with a deal. 90% edible garden, plus chicken and a beehive. In a city landscape, same thing, but for us it is a house. We live there, so it's not a business garden, it is a house garden. We eat from it. It is changing a mindset, and it's giving more opportunity to people. There you go. Yeah, so this is we did through summer and autumn, and we presented in a couple of conferences. We were invited in Dunedin and in South America, and yeah, it's great for us to put our idea out there, and for us it's just a product, you know, and we really want to talk about that and make people understand that how important is the product and how not only what it is, you know, it could be a salmon, it could be a meat, or it could be a vegetable. It has to be fresh, it has to be done with respect, it has to be grown or produced with respect, you know, and love. You know, it's not about just making money. It's about making a thing and feeling proud of it. And we want to trespass that energy from the producer or the grower to the customer, you know, and I think that's the whole idea of our having a restaurant. You know, it's transferring, because I think what we do is we put so much passion to it. You know, we don't have it's not a job for us, this is what we like to do. And like you guys like to play rugby or like to play soccer or go surfing, this is what we do for fun. You know, that's how we take it, and it's not hours, it's all day job. Like today, up 7 in the morning to do this with you, and then go back to work until 11 tonight. So this is what I do because I like to do it. You know, it's not about I'm gonna make money today, and at the end the money comes, but you feel happy, and I think that's the important thing. Trespass, give that happiness to people, and at the end it's create an experience. You know, Alex does a completely different concept of restaurant. I do a completely different concept of restaurant as well, but at the end it's the same energy. It's transferring happiness and making people happy and enjoy a meal, and that's the important thing for us, is enjoyment of meal. And now what Alex is gonna do a dish with salmon, and I'm gonna prepare mine. Okay, so hope you enjoy. Yeah.
What do you have there?
Just a couple of plates.
Plates? Oh yeah, I've still there.
Okay. Bowl, rectangle,
Flat.
Flat here.
Not a flat one.
I think I'll be alright. Yeah.
Do you want us to go?
Yeah, I'll get going in a second.
Should go. Hell of a connect disruption. That doesn't get used.
Alright, so I cook very spontaneously. Don't really plan things, so like taste things and play around and kind of I've got a rough idea what I'm gonna do with this, but it just kind of changes. So so I've got a parsnip here. I'm gonna do some raw salmon with some sautéed parsnip, which will bring richness to it with the coldness and the rawness of the salmon. I've got a friend of my mum and dad's bought loads of horseradish in January this year. We had an excess of it, so I put a whole load in vinegar. It's been macerating there for about 8 months. So this dish actually started 8 months ago. It's got this really nice richness to it, really good vinegar. A big part of a big ingredient I use a lot is olive oil. So this is grown in Accra by a lady called Jen. It's absolutely brilliant. Instead of using butter to enhance a lot of dishes, which is classical, very classical French kind of technique, and yeah, to provide richness and depth to dishes, olive oil is really, really good, and it's much better than butter, especially in the times that we're living in at the moment, because dairy farming is really detrimental to our environment. And so if we can get out of the habit of using dairy like we do, we, I think that sets to do better things for our environment and for us as people and the land that we live on and all that kind of thing. So I'm just going to dice this up. I need to put a finger into this because it's going to slip. I want to cut myself. It'll be a bit embarrassing. It's important as well, like zero waste, stuff like this, or if you were to peel it. Keep things like that, and like, it's important to use everything. So you keep things like that, play a bit, like, you might make an infusion with some oil, you might be able to dehydrate it and use it on top of a dish. There's always new things that you can do, new things that you can learn. And just use like every single part of the plant or the animal every single time, because the underused cuts and stuff are like the best bits. My favourite thing to cook at the moment is pig's head. It's really, really good. If you do it well, it's amazing. I'm waffling because I'm not used to working in front of people. I work on my own in a tiny little kitchen at the back of the shop. So if anyone's got anything like to ask, just shout out and I'll try and answer your questions.
Was that video we just watched shot around Cass and Corsair Bay?
Yeah. Yeah, that's Giulio's area, so Giulio forages a lot around there. Foraging's really good because it connects you with your landscape. I live in the central city, I live in Linwood, right next to Avonside, and we've got this massive red zone spot on our doorstep. So I go out there quite a lot. Nature's really taken over these areas where people used to have like lemon trees and herb gardens and stuff. They're all overgrown and gone wild now, so what I do is I go out on my mornings off or on the weekends and I'll go and take stuff out of the red zone and take it into my restaurant to cook with. because there's plenty of it and it's just going to go to waste otherwise. And yeah, it seems wasteful. You know, people have gone out of their way to find something and it's just going to go to waste.
About how many covers a night would you do?
The restaurant seats 22 people. I probably do, on average, about 15, 16 people a night. But it varies, you know. We did 26 people last night, and because of the nature of my menu, nothing costs more than. There's no salmon here, is it?
Just box. Just
Oh yeah. Nothing costs more than $20. So, because I want good food to be accessible to everyone, I don't want it to be elitist or exclusive. I want people to know that you can eat well and it doesn't have to cost you the earth. So quite often, if people are really into food, they'll come in and they'll order everything on the menu, you know, because they're only small dishes, they're only entree-sized dishes. It's on their reading stream. Yeah. We're still very early days. We don't advertise. We just rely solely on word of mouth. Lots of interesting people comes through. It's really cool. It's really exciting when you own your own restaurant, but it's not something that comes quickly. Like, I've been working for 9 years. I made a conscious effort to just sit at commie level that whole time. I didn't want to rise above it. I didn't want to rush ahead and be like this big head chef or this big sous chef. I just wanted to learn. So I just sat at the bottom level. And it is shit because it's a really hard job and the pay is crap and you get pushed around. But you just sit and you take it all in and you learn and just take knowledge from other people. And then, yeah, so for 9 years I've been doing that. And then I met Liz, who's my business partner. She had a cafe, she went in, I came in with her. She really liked what I was doing, she really liked what I was bringing to the place. And now, all of a sudden, I own 50% of the restaurant, and I'm a restaurant owner now. So it's come about really quickly, but at the same time, it's taken a long time to get there. But it's well worth it because it's great. It's great doing what you love. So what I'm doing with this anyway, I'm pan frying these. I'm going to give them a bit of colour. It will also bring out the sweetness and a lot more richness in them, and soften them up slightly. I don't ever work with salmon, so it's going to be fun. It's important to know about everything that you're working with. Farmed salmon like this is pretty bad for the environment. I like that they've given us the salmon. Don't get me wrong, I'm not being rude about it, but there's quite a few issues with it. I know it can be said that it's sustainable because it's farmed, but at the same time the salmon feed that they're feeding salmon is a lot of the byproduct of the trawling, which is the really, really negative aspect of the fishing industry. All the fish that I use in my restaurant comes from long lines because it's the only way, long lining is the only way of filtering out between the small fish and the big fish. Trawling takes everything out of the ocean, everything dies, they can't filter out anything, so all the little fish are a byproduct, they're a waste product, and they get turned into stuff like salmon feed for these farmed salmon. So although this is a sustainable product and since it's farmed and it's going to keep going, the methods that go into making this aren't sustainable, and that's bad for everyone, because if we just keep obliterating our oceans like we're doing, we're not going to have fish in the future, and that's crap because I love fish. So I'm just going to take the skin off. Which is there. So again, you could use that for another dish. You crisp it up, create something really textural. I don't know. Maybe pork it might work. I don't know. Just play around. Just so that's just something that you do on another dish. You got another component to another dish now. So with the salmon, I'm just going to serve it raw. It's a bit of a juxtaposition as well, serving the fish raw and cooking the vegetables, because I guess traditionally you would cook the salmon and have some kind of salad or something or other on the side. So that's quite fun. Smaller portions are also really good as well to do, because they encourage people to try more. Also when you're eating a dish, if you have a big plate of food in front of you, your brain kind of switches off after a little while. And you get bored of the dish, so you know, like if you've got a big burger, when you first start eating the burger, it's really, really tasty. And then you get a little bit bored of it and your brain kind of switches off. Whereas when you're serving small portions and smaller plates and small dishes, when you're eating, you enjoy it more because it's gone, and then you know it makes it more of a pleasurable experience. Have you got any spoons?
Spoons?
I don't know.
Lucky. I'll grab you.
Oh, thank you. It's hard being in the kitchen, you don't know anything. So I just really want to soften these up now, so the water will just help soften them and put the moisture in. I've got here as well, I've got some habanero. This is really, really nice. It's grown by my friend Bailey. Really juicy, so you don't have to cook it. Is there any more questions about it? Everyone just watching, so nerve-wracking. Never done anything like this before.
What kind of knife are you using?
I don't actually remember the brand of this. I bought it 6 years ago. Don't actually remember. I know it's important to know that, but I don't. These plates are enormous for what I'm going to serve, so I'm going to look stupid. I don't want to do that. I'll wait until the bike gets back. So I've got that. I've also got here, this is a ricotta that I made yesterday. So what I've done is I bought some organic milk up to the temperature just before simmering point. I've then added a tablespoon of horseradish vinegar. Thank you. You want a small plate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like.
Medium size?
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
That's right.
What else can I say?
You're talking about the cheese.
Oh yeah, I was just saying, yeah, so I just brought this up, so just before simmering, so a lot of what I do as well is the way I cook is a lot by kind of feeling it, looking at it, figuring out what's going on. It's very experimental, that helps with changing the menu every day, it helps encourage that you can cook scientifically, people use temperature gauges and stuff like that. But I find I enjoy cooking just by watching and tasting and looking at it. So when I make this, I'm watching it just before when you cook milk, you know, when you forget about it and it like boils over. Just before it reaches that point, take it off the heat, put it to a litre of milk, probably about a tablespoon of this horseradish vinegar. But again, it varies on the milk, it depends what's happening on the day. Add that, strain it off for a coffee filter, and you end up with this really nice, it's a horseradish ricotta. Yeah, and it's a nice texture, and I think it'll go really well with the raw fish and the raw vegetables. Yeah, let's get a look.
Students, they always put plates where I do this, they're all the time. Yeah, I was having a tea towel.
Put one in a bowl.
I wonder what I've been listening about for tea. Let's go this one.
So I'm just a simple dish now. There's not much technique, it's just really just showing off produce. This is really important. Said that loads of times. I've got some toasted hazelnuts grown by a guy called Gareth out in North Canterbury, so we'll just chop a few of them up as well. They provide texture. So always when I'm assembling a dish, I'm thinking about texturally how it's going to work, how the separate components are all going to come together, what each thing is adding. So you've got sharpness from something, you've got a richness from something else. It's all about trying to create a balance on the plate by bringing all these different things together. I'm going to put parsnips here, just put them over the top. Nero. A little bit of beetroot ash for seasoning because I don't like to use pepper. I don't really know. I don't understand the concept behind white pepper is something that we always use. It's a spice. You know, we don't use any other spices. We kind of do in Western cooking, but it's just there's always pepper on the table and always pepper added. I don't really get that. It comes from India. I don't really understand, so I don't use pepper in dishes. So I was always trying to find seasoning through other things as well. And this example of this is this beetroot ash, which I've got.
So have you just scorched the beetroot?
Yeah, scorched it. Took off the ash from the outside to give me this. And then with the rest of the beetroot that was left over, made a puree of that. And it was really nice because you got the bitterness from the burnt flavours with the real sweetness that came, which beetroots have. So shit at the moment.
So was it mostly the skin?
Yeah, this is mainly the skin. They're ground into a powder. And
is that mortar and pestle or a machine?
Machine. I've got a Thermomix, and that's the best tool I have in the kitchen.
Do you use that no pepper sort of philosophy in the restaurant?
Yeah.
So how do the punters, the customers get on with that concept? Do they buy into it?
They do. People say that it's well seasoned, and no one's ever questioned it. You know, I try and bring in peppery elements for other things, so I'll use spicy greens, you know, stuff like rocket, nasturtium. You know, occasionally I'll bring in a bit of bitterness. If you can balance the flavours right on the dish, the pepper isn't necessarily, doesn't have to be there. Yeah. It's just the concept that we've kind of so ingrained in our cooking that it's become normal, but I don't think it is. Yeah.
What about salt? Yeah.
Salt I use. And then I've just got a bit of the pickled horseradish here, which will give it a bit of heat. And that's the pepperiness. So yeah, that's the dish there. It's just a dish of raw things, ricotta and pan-fried parsnips. I was going to do two.
Right. Probably easier now. All right.
You want to ask else?
Ask a
Ask
question. Yeah.
questions. You don't ask, you don't get. What do you think of not using pepper? Do you think?
I think I'm going to go home and try and make some beetroot pepper.
Oh, there is horopito. I don't know if you guys know horopito.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a pepper tree, and if you grind it up and so dry the leaf and grind it up, it tastes like pepper. You know, and I think you have pepper and New Zealand pepper, and yeah, you have chilies as well. You know, all New Zealand grown. You don't need pepper for that. You know, as well. You want to create heat or at the end pepper. That's what it does. You know, there are different options. You know, at the end, and that's the whole point of being creative in a kitchen and using something that has a story. You know, at the end, you could go get the horopito tree and grow your own chilies. You know, and at the end, saving costs. You don't need to buy it. You can go foraging for horopito and you can grow yourself your own chili. You know, it's not the way to see where the pepperonis come or the heat.
Do up two of them.
No?
I'll do up two of them.
Yeah.
Then more people control it. And use the bar.
So I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do. And a restaurant is always developing new ideas and new ways of cooking. Since around 5 months ago, we bought a barbecue, and we're cooking with fire every day. Now we have we had put every single vegetable on the fire and see how it tastes and see what we can do. And
That's fire, not fryer.
yeah, fire. Yeah, not a fryer.
Yeah. Because Giulio doesn't have gas in the kitchen, it's just electric.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and we've been thinking how fire is just creating new flavor and new texture as well, more than anything. And we're using charcoal. It's a Japanese charcoal, and the story of this charcoal is it's a great story because it's done from 9 tons of wood. You get 1 ton of charcoal. And it's done by a Japanese guy up in Auckland. So he has all the story, why he does it and why why important it is all about flavor. And he does it more for the Japanese market. They use yakitori, and what it does, so it's that charcoal that I have over there. So that charcoal can keep the heat for 3 hours, same heat. So for us, for us at the restaurant, it's a service. We can do a service with 1 burn, and so we cook. We make a vegetarian dish. It's an onion dish that is all onions. It's an onion broth that is made on the charcoal, and caramelized onions, pickled onions, roasted onions, and onion flowers. And a meat dish that we roasted. Of course, the meat on the barbecue and leeks with potatoes, yams, and Jerusalem artichokes and soy. So that charcoal, you guys can feel it's very light, but very hard as a rock. So that's a characteristic, that's why it's so special. So it can stay lit for 3 hours, 4 hours easily, if you know how to maintain it. And it doesn't produce smoke, you can see it's completely burning and it's not smoking. So it's great for us in a kitchen. And we cook with it. And one of the things that we have seen is how can we cook, for example, all this salmon, you know, fresh salmon tastes delicious, you know, and all the fattiness is there. And what we have done lately is burning the meat with the charcoal straight. And that's something that I'm going to show you. So, and we can burn a lot of things.
Always learning in cooking, you can never know anything. Like, this is the first time I've ever seen this technique before. It's brilliant.
What you're doing here, you're not burning the meat, just adding flavor. You know, same thing that Alex had with that beetroot. He's seasoning with burnt beetroot skin. You know, at the end, you don't want to keep burnt food. You're just adding a flavor. And that's it. It smells delicious.
It's interesting because you traditionally talk about if food's burnt as bugger. So it's a different concept, essentially. Yeah.
So then you can see that it's cooked on the top. Pretty much it's like a tataki style. Just instead of searing it on a pan, you just sear with the charcoal. There. And a few things that we have, we preserve a lot of things in the restaurant. We have pickled radishes with apple cider vinegar. No, honey, sorry. We have, fennel. With apple with radish with honey, fennel with vinegar, and turnips with honey and white wine as well. One of the things that we're pickling as well is quail eggs. We make a pickle of smoke or liquid smoke.
You still making your own vinegar, Giulio?
Yeah, so we collect apples during the apple season and we make our own vinegar. So this is our last year vinegar we're using now. It's all about the story of the product, you know, and when you make it yourself, you're putting something and you feel proud of things that you do yourself, you know, and when we explain that to the customer, they get it, you know, and like everything, you know, like I said, when you make a goal, when you play rugby or whenever you play soccer, you know, you feel proud of those things. You want to tell everyone, and people feel that energy. And so this one is preserved quail eggs in a liquid smoke and black tea. See the egg. So we plunge the egg for 2 minutes in hot water, like making hard-boiled egg, and then we cool it down, and then we crack them. We crack them in the way that we don't break the skin. We want to crack the skin but not peel it. Okay, so it creates all these little lines. And we're using the egg. So this one has a smoke flavor. at the end with the liquid smoke, black tea. The black tea does the lines on it. It's a perfect liquid center of the egg. So
I love that.
this one we did it last night. So the color gets pretty fast. So last night we finished service, so we make the eggs for tonight. So every day, you know, things take time. It's not everything fresh. The idea is you want to put flavor into it, and then we play with these ones. We have radish, the turnips, and fennel. And I got some for garden. Whatever we have in the garden right now. Fennel goes always well with salmon. And rocky flowers. And Mizuna. Same thing, all this stuff is from the garden of forage from Littleton. Yeah, just nothing else. We have a preserved lemon mayonnaise as well. So preserved last year's lemon, preserved in salt, and then we just chop this, remove the, just take the skin out, chop the skin, make a mayonnaise, and mix it with the. There you go. No, it's fine. I have it. And that's it. It's a very simple dish where most of the effort for us is in the product. How we can get a fresh piece of meat or salmon. Alright, simple. Other dish that we're doing, I'm gonna need a pen.
How do you come up with the idea or the concept?
Because we have been doing, like, I start the day that we got the barbecue, we burn everything we have in the kitchen. Yeah. All things. So all the vegetables we have, we burn them and see what's happening, you know, what flavor we get from it, and we got that beetroot. And we are doing the dish that we burn the beetroot, we remove the ash from the skin, and it's still beetroot food. It's real beetroot meat burned, but we get a little tiny, looks like a prune because it's wrinkled and it's full of sugar. That beetroot, it's incredible to taste, and we said if we're using the skin of the beetroot of the onions, because the onion soup has a same burnt skins of the onions as a seasoning. What about if you just burn meat with this stuff? You know, like cooking it straight to the embers. You know, instead of putting, and you see culturally, you know, in the past the people used to, in Chile, for example, where I'm from, they put the lamb open, 4 legs like that, close to the fire, you know. And sometimes the people were telling me they put the bears, mountain bears, straight to the charcoal, you know, as well. So there is a cultural thing, you know, it's nothing new what I had done right here, you know, but I'm just applying a technique, a soft technique, just burning just to create the skin of burn. And then that's it, eat it. So it's just when you play with things, ideas come. You know, that's why for us it's a lot of having fun in the kitchen. You know, it's all about having fun in the kitchen.
So you experiment a bit?
Yeah, always experimenting.
You try everything every single way.
Yeah.
Because there isn't one way of doing anything. And even if it like appears to be a mistake, then you take that, you might find something, or you might find elements of something that you can do next time. and use for something else. There isn't one way of cooking anything.
So we're using kingfish now at the moment to make this dish. It's a very simple dish of nuts. We have a walnut tree in the restaurant, so we use all that walnuts from there. And we get macadamias from Gold Bay. A lady grows for us macadamias and hazelnut trees as well. So it's a mix of hazelnuts. It's like a nut base, simple like that. We toast them all, we remove the skin of all of them and make a very fine puree. Well, it's not a puree, it's pretty much just like a grain. We just grind them up. All of them pass it through the sieve so we get the same thickness of all of them. And it's simple as just a little dot of these nuts. You guys will say, why are you mixing nuts with fish? Well, when you try, you will see. And we have a dandelion butter as well.
Dandelion butter.
We collect all the dandelion that grows everywhere, and we dry it. This is from Hawke's Bay.
Right.
But
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah. So
The root?
yeah, yeah. So this is the root of the plant. Okay, root. We pick the root. Every plant has a season, okay? Goes through a year, flower, leaves, and root, okay? So when is the best time to pick the root of the plant? Is after winter, spring, because all the energy is in the root in winter. It's going to winter, all the energy, because it's not flowering, it's not greening, it's all big green leaves, pretty much dying, all the energy is in the root. So now is a good time to pick a dandelion. Root, full root. Okay, I don't know if you guys know that you make dandelion, you can make coffee from dandelion root as well. It's another kind of coffee. For people who cannot have caffeine. And same thing, they try the dandelion root and toast the bath like a coffee bean and they make coffee pretty much with that stuff.
Soft drink. So if you want to try something different, when I was abroad, you buy here now dandelion and burdock root, the Japanese use it. You buy a soft drink. You go to the New World, they sell it. And that English guy imports stuff from there, it looks like Coke. It's called dandelion and burdock. Alright, if you want to try something, buy something.
So, and then simple, we toast the dandelions, same thing like making coffee. And you guys can smell it. Don't touch the container, just gotta grab it from there. And it's gonna get that earthiness, bitter flavor. And so it's just simple butter, clarified butter, and we infuse the toasted dandelion root in it.
So it's like a Bernard thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's just the same. And get a little bit of bitterness as well because it's very fatty, this dish. You can say it's, salmon is very, well, we're using kingfish, that's more lean.
Yeah.
And when I do it with salmon, so it's fat in the salmon, fat in the nuts, fat with the olive oil in the nuts as well, and fat in the butter. But that bitterness of the dandelion really make it really amazing. Yeah, so it's very simple. We use sorrel, wood sorrel leaves on it. I'm just gonna wait so everybody smells the dandelion and the salmon needs to be ready. Simple, it's nothing else. It's 3 things on a plate, and that's what it makes my food. No pepper, no seasoning, just salt. Sometimes no salt because at the end the quail is salty because the pickles has their own salt as well, and honey. The mayonnaise has their own salt. At the end, what I want people to try the salmon. Fresh salmon, you don't need salt. It's delicious how it is. In this one, I will use some salt on this one, but it's simple. That's the idea. For us, is try to let the people know how the product tastes by itself. Nothing else. So for us, the fish need to be at 52 in the center. We have a thermometer that we check the temperature. 52 the fish is cooked. Yeah. Under there, I think you have a more raw taste, but if you want to cook fish, 52 is enough. We do a lot of temperature because we really want to, not all the time you try perfect fish. And we have one of the food allergies is fish in a restaurant, and we don't understand why when fish is so good, when it's cooked properly. And I think because people had it wrong before. We encourage people to try, and they like it. You know, at the end, and that's what they said. If you don't tell me what it is, I will like it. You know, but yeah, and that's why we have no name. You know, again, the reasons that we do what we do is because probably people don't know. You know, there are many things that people don't know about food, and we want to just try to introduce. So, salmon, the butter that is going around there, still smelling. Don't try, when you make clarified butter, you see all the solids that get burned in the bottom? Always use them. It's a trick. We always, when it gets to the point that it starts clarifying too much and start burning, whisk it so you don't burn the solids, and try to use the solid. That's all the flavor of the clarified butter. Never throw the solid. Never let them burn to that point. Always mix it. The pot needs to come clean because you use all those solids. They're pure flavor. And we use some of these. Wood sorrel has a very distinct lemony flavor. And it's a nice heart shape. My daughter really likes this plant because it has happy heart shape.
And it grows everywhere, doesn't it?
And grows everywhere.
Yeah, on both sides of roads and stuff. You always
Try,
see stuff.
there are many, this is a oxalis family.
Weed.
Weed? It's a weed? Sometimes people, I think weed is a good name. Weed is not a bad name. You guys must know that. And that's it. No, probably a little bit of salt.
In the box.
Some sea salt.
It's alright. And this is the dish. It's one of the most popular dishes now in the restaurant because it's so simple, but it just tastes so good. So, you want to try it? Grab a fork. Questions?
Where are the forks?
That's a good question.
Some penny. Oh man, my mum
You're gonna crack this over. Yeah.
So what questions we got? Must have some.
You guys want a coffee?
Please.
What would you like?
No black. No black, no sugar.
Espresso.
Please, you guys have the forks? Let's go. Yeah.
If you want to take a photo maybe first and you want to do that now, eh, with your devices of choice. Check out this charcoal too, it's still going. It's actually quite amazing heat comes off of it still.
Probably just play more.
Yeah, that's
Radish? Yeah. Pickle radish and honey. Oh, yeah. This is like 3-day-old. This is yesterday. This is another 4-day-old. Grab it all.
Giulio, do you make this one processor or you grind this one?
I grind them. I do three. So I grind them and then it's strained. That's right. So all this is the same size because most of the seeds, you know.
So you have to push it through the sieve?
No, not really. Just grain it. And then all these solids, the bigger pieces that stay the same, go back into the grinder, into the machine. And then you grain it again, and then all this. So it's pretty much just reducing the but everything at the same cost, same price. Yeah. Like the No, I have done liquid oils, but this is a new tasting. This is creation. So we can do our own liquid smoke as well. Get it, for example, charcoal, old burnt stuff, and then smoking water. Simple as that. Just put water into the barbecue. You can create your own.
My grandma likes dinner.
There you go. Your grandma. That's why I'm doing nothing new for me.
So she has a farm.
Yeah.
She's got a whole field of vegetables, so she uses
Once we get it's a brilliant technique.
So for your foraging, how do you guys like figure out where to go and what's safety and what's not? Because with mushrooms, they can be like some issues.
Well, we just pick what we know.
Right, okay.
I don't pick what I don't know. I've been doing it for 6-7 years already, so I have an idea what's edible, what's not edible. And with mushroom, I just pick what I know.
Okay.
I don't try to try mushrooms that I don't know. So, and I have friends, you know, I know people. So if I have an idea, I take a photo with the phone. Hey, this is good, this is bad. You tell me, and we start talking about it. You know, at the end, I got sick of eating stuff. Never mushroom, plants, a little fruit stuff. I've been sick. You know, not sick dying, but sick that you feel something weird in your stomach. But that's the only. You have to try things. You know, like anything. You know. And yeah, but it's a thing of learning, reading, lots of photography. You have to look at lots of photography. You go to nature and check yourself, you know, but read, you know, lots of education.
There's a lot of that knowledge that's lost over the years in terms of what's edible.
Yeah, there are many books and lots of books on foraging only in New Zealand as well. Lots of books.
Oh yeah, there's also a website, the Otatahi.
And there are people. It's everywhere. You know, it's nothing new what we're doing. You know, it's just bringing all this stuff together.
Right, so just get out there and
actually figure out. Yeah, but you always go with a guy, read, get a little bit, and go home and show to the big one. So that's the idea, because you don't know. First time you don't know. People make mistakes, but never eat a crazy mushroom. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Just don't eat the yellow one.
Wow, that's totally
So, and then you want to use it again, cover it with the oxygen, and you can drink it. That's it. Oh, I use my chocolate. So you just kill it, kill the oxygen, and you can reuse it.
Hey guys, I don't know about you, but food for thought there in terms of what Giulio and Alex have talked about and what they've sort of done. I think, I don't know, simplicity is one of the key sorts of things. So I hope you got something out of it this morning. Non-traditional way of doing things, okay? It's more than one way of doing stuff. So I think you show the appreciation in the usual way. These guys did a fantastic job this morning, giving up their time. All right, so yeah, thanks so much. Last time Giulio was here, whatever, he said he's more than keen to actually, if people want to go and visit him in the restaurant and go and work with him for a while and see what he does, etc. I think he's more than happy.
Yeah.
With Alex, but I mean, you know,
We don't
not paid, but it's you learn something.
Yeah, we don't hire people. People come to work and they make themselves available to work because for us, it's such a different cooking. You know, it's a thing that is an adaptation to us because it's a very minded restaurant. This is how we do things, and not everyone like it. And fair enough, you know, it's great. Not everyone thinks the same, and hours of work is a lot of hours. We do minimum 12 hours a day, but it's fun. You know, it's not and not on top of anyone. Everyone does their own life in the restaurant. So if you guys want to come and try. Don't come to work. Okay, still feel happy with what we do and how we do it, and then see, and then see if you want to stay. That's it. That's because we don't hire anyone. People who's in the restaurant, they'll be doing it for free first. Everyone work for free in my restaurant first, and because it's an adaptation. You know, it's a different environment. It's not how they teach you here in the school, and so that adaptation is important for me to be happy with you, and for you to be happy with myself. Yeah. I think same answer.
Yeah.
And what do we gift here for you guys? Okay. You as well. No, it's better than money.
Yeah, exactly.
I've invited these guys to the Davies Station dinner.
Nice.
So there's same nights. It's for Group A's, all right. They're all booked out, all right. So I've actually put another table in. All right, for these guys.
Thank you so much.
So hopefully you can make it. All right, dates etc. in there. All right.
It's the weekend of Melbourne.
But if you're not here, you can pass it on to someone.
Awesome.
You know, whatever. What goes around comes around. But these guys are cooking.
Nice.
All right. So if you can make it, it would be fantastic. All right.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for coming, guys. Really nice. And we hope to see you soon.
If I can just grab Group C, you can just come with me, so I can just explain a couple of things.
B group. Emily's gone to the funeral this morning. She's due back this afternoon, she told me, but if you start at normal time and I'll go from there. It's happening, but we're not sure if she's there yet or whatever, so we'll kick off, alright? We're in K1, 1 o'clock. All knowing what you're doing. Yeah,
What's your place called? Shop
back.
Clam shape that could feasibly round to sitting properly. But again, we'll try to.
Maybe if you can, try and find some, obviously we
Thank you guys, appreciate it. Anytime.
Chris is dry house stuff here.
I'll
We can play with that. Thanks.
Thank you for inviting me.
So,
Even that.
what's that?
I don't want to be afraid of
Trying to achieve the same things. So if you can make those, send us whatever.
Yeah, thanks so much for that.
Because if you can't make it, just give somebody in that list of all right?
Yes.
Okay?
Cheers.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Ciao.
See
Bye.
ya.
That was so good.
Yeah, I didn't get